K. Flock has been found not guilty in the passing of Oscar Hernandez, leading to an update on his possible release date. While he was acquitted of the most serious charge, he was found guilty of 5 other charges, including possession and RICO. However, his lawyer remains confident, stating that these convictions are not a major concern. The primary focus was on the most serious charge, and with Flock successfully beating it, his release date will be affected positively. Reports indicate that prosecutors submitted a letter that could be interpreted as suggesting the jury considered Flock's personal perspective rather than a general, reasonable person standard. Given his upbringing, Flock may have been more prone to feeling fear in the moment, which played a key role in his self-defense claim. This argument ultimately helped him secure a favorable outcome, as reflected in a positive call he recently made from jail.
Talk to them, Flock. Talk to them, my dog. Soon come home, man. You got these little boys walking around with no jewels, Flock. They need you. They need you, Flock.
I'm coming, man.
This even led to Lil TJ declaring "Free K Flock," while Bobby voiced his support before the trial.
What's it like for you watching the K Flock thing happen? That's crazy. Next big artist coming out of New York.
I love Flock, so that's my guy.
Okay.
But you know, I'm wishing him the best right now, you know what I'm saying? And you know, for the alleged charges they pushing on him, you know what I'm saying? I'm wishing his family the best, I'm wishing the whole team the best and everything, you know what I'm saying? And I hope he beat them alleged charges. Because he got a lot of future brightness. He got, I hope, you know what I'm saying?
That would be a sad story if that's the ending.
We ain't gonna think like that, you know what I'm saying?
You gotta stay positive.
The guilty charges against K Flock stem from a former gang member testifying against him. Reports state that in 2020, Flock allegedly used a firearm against someone who had attacked his friend. That same friend, identified as Brockington, also known as Dooge on the streets, later testified against him. However, he is not to be confused with Flock's best friend, Dooge B. Brockington, who was arrested for selling, ultimately turned on Flock, playing a key role in his conviction on 5 charges. His testimony directly impacted Flock's release date. To understand the full details, one would need to review the case file. In court, prosecutors asked Brockington about a hospital call he received after being attacked. He confirmed, K. Flock called. He said, "You know we got you, bro." He further admitted that Flock intended to retaliate. When pressed by prosecutors, "Did Flock hit them up in retaliation for you?" He responded, "Yes," revealing that someone was grazed in the altercation. Additionally, he confirmed seeing Flock with a firearm, which contributed to the charges. He also testified that Flock was on a call with rival members who later circled their block, aligning with the events surrounding Oscar Hernandez's passing. Amidst all this, Flock's best friend, B. Levi, publicly responded, saying,
Okay, but so I saw some fans who were off at both me and academics after K Flock got locked up just because I guess, like, you know, in our tone when we talked about it, you know, it might have seemed like we were being a little too presumptuous. But is that weird for you? Because I'm sure you see people all the way from rappers to whoever acting like, you know, your boy is just done and that he's cooked in the situation.
People, especially people that don't even be knowing, like, y'all don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
B. Lovey made his statement after court files detailed how the incident unfolded. On December 23rd, 2021, K Flock was charged in connection with the passing of Oscar Hernandez. Surveillance footage shows Flock walking down the sidewalk with his sister, dressed in a blue coat, ski mask, and designer jeans. As he passed a barbershop, Hernandez, who was inside, spotted him. Hernandez ran outside, shouting, "What are you looking at?" Given their history, the two began arguing. Flock initially chose to walk away, but Hernandez followed him. For a brief moment, Hernandez seemed to reconsider and started heading back to the shop, only to turn around and continue escalating the situation. He reached into his jacket pocket and upon noticing this, Flock quickly pulled out a firearm and fired multiple shots, hitting Hernandez and causing him to collapse. Flock then fled the scene. Witnesses called 911 and Hernandez was rushed to a local hospital, where he later succumbed to his injuries. At the crime scene, only shell casings, and Hernandez's slides remained as evidence. For 24 hours, the NYPD had no leads on the masked suspect, relying solely on security footage. In an effort to identify him, they released an image from the footage to the public. Unfortunately for Flock, he had previously posted a photo wearing the same jacket and had also appeared on a live stream just hours before the incident wearing the same outfit. This led to him being quickly identified and reported to the authorities. With a warrant out for his arrest, Flock secured one of the top lawyers and voluntarily surrendered at the 30th precinct. His lawyer released a statement saying, "I accompanied Kevin as he self-surrendered to detectives in the 30th precinct. Arrangements were immediately made with the NYPD once I learned he was wanted. As to the charges against him, we have begun our investigation into these allegations. We will address bail once we have had a chance to review the case and further investigate the DA's noteworthy disclosure." His legal team immediately began gathering evidence and building a self-defense argument to fight the charges.
When the guy hits the ground and is found, he's got a loaded that was in his pocket that his hand was on at the time. So we consider that to be self-defense.
So he did take even in self-defense.
That's what the allegation is. You know, I don't want to talk too much about the details of the case.
Okay.
The government claims that he pulled it. But at the same time, the person that was ground had his hand on a illegal loaded.
Okay. So without saying too much, you're arguing obviously self-defense.
That could be one of the arguments, self-defense. And I would say to the public, if somebody's walking up to you with a loaded, it's pretty clear he's going to use it, with a criminal record a mile long. Do you want to get or do you not want it?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't hesitate to hold it.
Federal authorities believe the case is rooted in ongoing rival street team conflicts, as K. Flock has long been affiliated with the Third Side Street team. With his growing publicity, Flock held significant influence and was often targeted by his rivals. However, his situation took a drastic turn when a federal grand jury indicted him on multiple new racketeering conspiracy charges, commonly known as RICO charges. The hip-hop community reacted swiftly to the news, with creators stating, "K, Flock just caught a RICO. It's really over." Academics also weighed in, saying, "The feds just unsealed an indictment on K. Flock for a RICO charge. The mandatory minimum, if he doesn't beat those charges or cooperate, is life in prison." Meanwhile, Flock still faces state charges that have kept him behind bars. His legal team responded to the RICO indictment, stating, "We're not surprised by the federal charges, as we've been fighting Kevin's state case for over a year now. Considering the incident was a clear act of self-defense, it was never a strong charge. But the fact that it's now being used as the basis for a federal penalty is extraordinary." The video clearly shows that Kevin was trying to walk away before the other person escalated the situation. Only then did he use an item to defend himself and his sister as the armed individual reached into his pocket. Despite Flock being found guilty on several charges, early signs from the courtroom seemed promising. A court reporter covering the case shared, "Day one of K. Flock's trial is over. Initial thoughts? The prosecutors don't seem prepared. They're stumbling over their words, struggling to answer the judge's questions, and failing to provide strong evidence to counter Flock's lawyer's defense." Flock now joins a growing list of rappers who have been targeted by federal authorities. In fact, did you know that Lil Baby was just called out by the feds as well?
Investigation aspect of this, Lamont Freeman was allowed to be a 13-year-old for 27 minutes before gang violence ultimately took his life. Gang violence was orchestrated by adults in our city, and cowardly acts of an Atlanta-based rapper that decided to go over into a rival gang stronghold and shoot a music video in a place that he knew he should not have been. And in the subsequent days, we saw and ultimately the deaths of 2 children as a result of his cowardly actions. And you know who you are. And I tell you that this team will work relentlessly to hold you and the persons that you are affiliated with responsible for those actions.
Even Young and Ace was name-dropped by the Jacksonville sheriff. Are we witnessing an organized crackdown on rap artists by law enforcement?
Young and Ace have long been known in Jacksonville. We are consistently monitoring those groups. We have people that are always watching them. I won't speak to the chief's investigation. That's up to TPD. We don't have an investigation on him right now, but he can't move around in Jacksonville without us knowing. And that's for the betterment of our community.
Reporters also observed that Flock appeared emotional throughout much of the trial. However, his lawyers reassured him that they were determined to beat the case. In fact, they were so confident that they had Flock share this message.
I have never going no man. Flock is a liar. I know something to you. Man, like, free me to the guys, man. Hey, yo, like, I got real school. Shout out to my fans about the children, man. I love all y'all, man. All you guys, man. The dollars, man. For me, and do y'all supposed to do, man. Like, the rest of the world, like,
Yeah, money.
But at the end of the day, the feds always find a way to keep these rappers locked up. This aligns with what Boozy said about YNW Melly's case, emphasizing that the feds will do whatever it takes to keep them behind bars.
I knew they wanted them bad when they waited for that law to get passed. So it'd be 8-4. Oh, right. Yeah. They waited all the way till that law got passed to take him.
Yeah, he was in jail for 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah. He could have been taken to trial. Right. They waited till that law got passed and took him to trial a couple months later. When they want you, man. You don't see how he didn't get a bond after